Like I said, political and financial, because he is draining the Philippines dry. It's time to stand up. Marcos is a dictator like his dad. He has broken every rule in the book for what he did to Duterte. He was supposed to be trial firstly in the Philippines if he did something wrong. Number two is they did not. Number three, no court of law, no outside court of law, no Interpol's warrant of arrest supersedes any law of the Philippines. And the Supreme Court will stand by that.
Inilaglag si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos nang aminin na ang gobyerno nito ang gumastos sa pagkakaaresto sa dating Pangulong si Rodrigo Duterte. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla, pinangalanan pa ang 2 taong nasa likod sa sapilitang pagpapahuli kay former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Yes. Good morning mga kasama. Andito naman si Kuya Goods nagbabalik. Sorry ha, medyo late na po tayong nakapag-upload gawa ng napuyat po tayo doon sa kagabi. Ngayong umaga, meron ho akong papakita sa inyong mga slide na grabe ho yung pagtatrador. Ibig sabihin, dati mong kasamahan, dati mong hinangaan, dati mong Pangulo, ang Pangulong Duterte pa nga ang nagbigay dito parang ng posisyon sa gobyerno. At nakilala sila dahil sa Pangulong Duterte. Pero may mga bagay-bagay talaga pagdating sa alam niyo na, meron talaga magtataksil. Pero bago natin simulan natin talakayan sa like and share, samahan niyo na subscribe. At ibang mga foreigner na rin nagsalita. At sa dulo, yung ginawang pagtitipo ng ating kababayan sa Europe, talagang dumagsa na rin po sila. At merong isang kandidato na team sinusuka habang nagbo-motorcade, nagsisigawan ng ating kababayan na Duterte kami, Duterte kami, Duterte kami. Napahiya ang mama. So ipasok na natin yan. At salamat nga pa pala doon sa nakakilala sa ating kagabi. Salamat po sa inyo. Kila ma'am, doon sa mga nagpa-picture, salamat po sa inyo. At doon po sa nakakwentuhan ko, salamat po. At grabe ha. Talagang walang tigil ho yung iyak nyo. Ito na, simulan natin ha. Up. Talaga naman, nagmamadali ka talaga Kuya Goods Sobrang pagmamadali mo Ito ha, ipasok natin. At kayo na ho ang umintindi kung sino-sino itong mga, alam nyo na. Kung kumbaga sa, ibabalik natin yung panahon, merong hong
Sadyang kung minsan talaga ang isda nahuhuli sa sarili nitong bunganga. Matapos ang kanyang naging interview kung saan on national TV, inilaglag si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos nang aminin na ang gobyerno nito ang gumastos sa pagkakaaresto sa dating Pangulong si Rodrigo Duterte. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla, pinangalanan pa ang 2 taong nasa likod sa sapilitang pagpapahuli kay former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Nagimbal nga ang taong bayan nang ilaglag ng DILG Secretary na si John Vic Remulla ang National Security Advisor na si Secretary Eduardo Año, maging ang National Defense Secretary na si Gibo Chodoro. Ang 2 taong may kinalaman sa pagpapaaresto kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. Sa isang live telecast at interview ni John Vic sa Bilyonaryo, sinabi nitong 4 na tao ang key person sa pagpapahuli sa dating Pangulo. Bukod sa kanya, kahit itinanggi raw ng Pangulo, tila ito ang isa sa mga pasimuno kung bakit nagkaroon ng pag-aresto kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. Kasama rin nila ang National Defense Secretary na si Gibo Chodoro, maging ang National Security Advisor na si Eduardo Año. Kapwa malapit sa mga Duterte at kaibigan pa ng former President.
Grabe,
dito nagimbal ang taong bayan dahil sa kabila ng
Ipinyo, malapit kay Tatay Digong. Talagang si Tatay Digong din ang mga nito mga nag-appoint sa mga taong ito Pero bakit ganun? Ibang klase. Alam ko ito ng kuya mo. Boss, tanong lang. Kasi kung kuya mo ang usapin dito, may mas matanda pa kasi dito Dito kay na to. Yung talaga, yung isang matanda na yun, talagang solid ho yun. Ewan ko anong nakain ito ng matanda na itong manong na to. Bakit? 2 ho yan. 2 naging opisyalis ng gobyerno, ng AFP. 2 ho yan. Magkapares ng apelido. Yung isa, nung panunungkulan ni Tatay Digong, grabe, napakabuti, ang bait. Ito, hindi natin alam bakit ano nangyari. Dahil ba saan, kuya? Papagalitan ka kaya ng kapatid mo, yung nakakatanda sa'yo? Ano kaya sasabihin sa'yo nung nalaman nyo itong mga gantong bagay? Tingnan natin. Baka mamaya, pagdating ng araw, kayo-kayo ang humingi ng pasensya. At hindi natin alam, baka mamaya, di ba? Kumbaga, ang ginawa nyo, isang
pagtitiwala sa kanila ng dating Pangulo na hindi isusuko ang soberenya ng bansa. Nagawa raw ito ni Nagibo at Anyo. Dahil dito, naglabas ng sama ng loob ang taong bayan sa lahat ng mga tila ginawa nila sa former president. Si Secretary Anyo ang isa sa mga nooy pinakapinagkakatiwalaan ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Naging kalihim ng Department of Interior and Local Government at Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Gayon din ang Secretary na si Gibo Teodoro kung saan inendorso pa ng mag-amang Sara at Rodrigo Duterte noong tumakbong senador last 2022 election. Ngunit ang pinakamasakit nga raw para sa kanila, hindi nila aakalaing tatraydo rin ng mga pinagkakatiwalaan at itinuring na kaibigan ng pamilya Duterte ang dating Pangulo. Narito ang nakakabiglang revelasyon ni Secretary John Vic Remulla kung saan tahasang sinabi sa publiko na hindi isa, hindi rin dalawa, hindi tatlo, kundi 4 na tao ang tila nagtulong-tulong para arestuhin ang former president na si Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Taong bayan, tinawag na traidor sina Secretary Gibo at Secretary Eduardo Anyo. Narito't panoorin ang full video.
Siya po ang ating totga noong 2010 or the one that got away noong 2010. Si former Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro, and this time around, he will not be the one that got away dahil sa tulong nating lahat, magiging senator siya. Ikaw na ang number 1 namin sa balota.
Kita nyo, inendorso ka pa ni BP Sara. Ibang klase talaga. Basta talaga ang tao nasisilaw sa posisyon, gagawa at gagawa ng hindi maganda. Yan ang sabi ni Marites Ledesma.
Ay, salamat Mayor Inday at salamat po sa lahat ng mga sumusuporta. The one that was captured na sana or the one that can help.
Kababayan ko, nandito si Gibo, kilala ninyo. Mamili lang naman kayo ng senador. Kunin na ninyo ang best. Gibo, Gibo, Gibo na lang. Okay na. Maligaya na ako, sir. Gibo. Huwag mo kalimutan. Botos ko yan. Sana niwala ka sa akin.
Si Gibo Teodoro po, number 57 sa balota.
The plane, the Gulfstream 550, is that correct? This is chartered by the Philippine government?
Yes.
Okay, so when Vice President Sara Duterte made a statement of the Philippines handing out its own citizen to a foreign power, I wanted to ask you, Secretary, does that...
Ulitin natin medyo magulo kasi kanina eh. Ulitin natin Ayan.
The plane, the Gulfstream 550, is that correct? This is chartered by the Philippine government?
Yes.
Okay, so when Vice President Sara Duterte made a statement of the Philippines handing out its own citizen to a foreign power, I wanted to ask you, Secretary, does that make her factually correct? Because in the end, people were wondering, did the Philippine government arrange for the plane? Kumbaga tayo ba ang nagbigay?
Yes.
Or, okay, go on, Secretary.
Yes. The plane is chartered by the Office of the President. We brought him straight to the Netherlands.
Grabe, no?
Consistent naman tayo. Hindi tayo tumutulong sa investigasyon ng ICC. We didn't help.
Yan yung statement niya noon. Diba? Consistent naman tayo. Hindi tayo nakikialam. Hindi tayo tumutulong sa ICC. Ano nangyari? Paki-explain na mabuti. At bakit nagsiami na yung mga alagad mo? Diba? Ano ibig sabihin? Ano ibig sabihin nun? Talagang proud pa kayo na talagang ginawa niyo kay Tatay Digong? Ibang klase rin, ano?
Help them in any way.
So, ikaw ba nagplano ng lahat ng ito? Hindi naman. It was a group effort, Secretary Teodoro.
Group effort. Ilang kayo? 4. Lahat. Yung 2 talagang ginamit nyo lang pala ang pangalang Duterte. Yung kayong 2 na mamabanggit dito. Ibig sabihin, dahil sa gusto nyo magkaroon ng posisyon, talagang lahat ay gagawin. Ganun lang kasimple yun. Pero tandaan nyo, ang traidor, sabi ng mga kaibigan natin,
was there, Secretary Anyong was there too, and the President and I. Because Secretary Teodoro was working out of his office, Campo Rinaldo. Secretary Anyong, of course, his specialty is intelligence, so he was gathering all the information.
Was it a little odd or hard, I guess, for Secretary Anyong, sir, knowing that, of course, he was
I think so.
part of the
I think
administration?
he still shares some affection for the former president. They had a very good working relationship. But he's a professional, he is a soldier, and he's a gentleman. So he served this role, and the information that he gathered and shared was very reliable. And
Such as? Or is that
such
anything you can
as
share?
the conversations on whether or not they would go home. I think the lawyers were prevailing for him to stay in Hong Kong or in China, and the children prevailed on him to go home.
Ibig sabihin, yung mga lawyers po sinasabi kay dating Pangulong Duterte.
Parang gano'n ang lumalabas sa mga sources. Sources ni Secretary Anyong.
Opo. And he relayed that to the core team. So the core team is the president
Yan ah.
of the Special Action Force that was hit by a cell phone on the forehead. Let's play that video. Maybe you can help us. What happened? Bakit ba nagkagulo dito?
I think that was the time that they were informed that he was going to be brought to the plane already. And the weird thing is that she was offered to ride the plane with him.
Dito kayo ba partner kanila?
Yes, she was offered and she refused. And when he was being asked to go to the plane, she suddenly took it.
Kaya dito po is yun po, yung isa sa miyembro ng staff ay tinamaan po sa forehead, no?
If you notice, everyone, lahat na paligid kay Presidente, babae. We didn't want, ayaw namin na mga lalaki ang pupersahin siya. Makakalad ka rin siya, ganun. Kaya babae talaga ang nakapaligid sa kanya.
Ano daw?
Yes, sa Jaya.
Makakalad ka rin? Ibig sabihin, ibang klase talaga kayo. Ayaw daw nila na mga lalaki ang umaresto kay Tata Digong, baka kalad ka rin. May ganun pantagpo talaga.
How many policemen were deployed in this whole everything, sir, from the airport to Villamor to Camp Crame?
Oh yeah, it's not as simple as the airport. So in the airport we had 1,500 men. We didn't want a Ninoy Aquino scenario to occur, so we were very sure of the security. Sa Malacanang there was another 1,000. In Crame to the usual lang Crame at saka yung veterans. So veterans are
Sa sobrang takot, pati Malacanang 100,000 na nilagay nila. Hindi naman ho mag-aaklas ang mga kababayan natin eh. Oo, hindi sila gagawa para makapag-declare ng anumang binabalak. Wait, there's more.
Veterans dahil.
Just in case they felt sick, may dadalhin siya agad.
So, and in Villamor, how many were there?
Villamor may be, dahil kasi contingency airport yan eh. So 2,000 all in all in their Villamor premises.
I see. So I want to go back to that video now. So when that happened, nagkabukol po yung staff na policewoman. And there was also a statement made by the spokesperson of the PNP, General Jean Fajardo, and she said this: lahat ng pagmumura, panlalait, tinanggap ng kapulisan, and they still managed to exercise maximum tolerance with all the policemen and policewomen that were involved in this. Were you happy? Were you satisfied?
Oh, yes.
With
sino ba di matutukan yan?
Yung mga Duterte supporters?
Kasi ini-expect ko na lalaban sila na makakagulo. But they all followed instructions, maximum tolerance, all courtesy given. They offered them, lahat ng accommodations na hiningi nila, binigay. Ano pagkain gusto nila. Hindi siya ng kama para magpahinga, binigay sa kanya, aircon naman yung kama. He asked to see his lawyers, dumating naman. So, binigay naman sa kanya lahat ng courtesy.
Okay, when you say that, sir, yung mga abogado niya nasa labas ng Villamor Air Base, ayaw papasukin eh.
Ando doon si
E.S. Medialdea sa loob.
E.S. Medialdea.
Ando din si Attorney Delga sa loob.
Yes.
Pero meron pa pong ibang abogado. I guess that's what I want to find out.
Hindi na pwede. There was an operational risk kung papapasok na ibang tao pa. Everyone who was with him in his party arriving from Hong Kong were allowed to join him.
What did the president tell you after? I mean, you spoke. The president spoke nung in flight na po, lumipad na po yung airplano ni dating Pangulo, nalulan si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. What did he tell you?
His exact words were, "There's no reason to be happy. There's no reason to celebrate." Those were his exact words.
And how did you feel when he said that?
I think he remembered the days of 39 years ago when they whisked him out of the palace. And I think he felt a sense of deja vu or a sense of trepidation in him that something that happened to him, he's doing to someone else. He really didn't want to do it. You saw his voice during the press con. He was very tentative. He really didn't want to do it. It just thrust upon him. He's a very gentle person. And it's not his nature to do.
Saan banda? Gentle pa kayo nalalaman. Ibang klase rin kayo.
These things.
And he did it because?
He did it because he had to uphold the rule of law.
So, ikaw ho ba nagplano ng lahat ng ito?
Hindi naman. It was a group effort. Secretary Teodoro was there. Secretary Anyong was there too. And the President and I. Kasi Secretary Teodoro...
Apat kayo. So, planado talaga. Oo, lahat ng binanggit ng nakaupo ngayon dati, Eh, hindi ho totoo. Oo, propaganda na lang nila. Propaganda nyo lang. Ngayon, ito ang tanong. Baka pagdating ng araw, baka hugas kamay kayo. Baka sabihin nyo, di ba? Eh ngayon, inamin nyo na 4 kayo. Anong gagawin natin dyan? Di ba? Eh kung ang taong bayan, hindi nyo pa ba nararamdaman? Manhid pa ba kayo? Yan ang sinasabi natin. Paano yan? Hindi mo na mababawi yan. Naka-record na yan. Naka-record na yan lahat. Lahat ng mga binanggit yung pangalan. Kung sino-sino yung nasa likod ng mga bagay-bagay na yan.
Was working out of his office, Camp Aguinaldo. Secretary Anyo, of course, his specialty is intelligence, so he was gathering all the information.
Was it a little odd or hard, I guess, for Secretary Anyo, sir, knowing that, of course,
I think so.
part of the
I think
administration?
HLC still shares some affection for the former president. They had a very good working relationship. But he's a professional, he's a soldier, and he's a gentleman. So he served his role, and the information that he gathered and shared was very reliable. And
Such as? Or is that
such
anything you can share?
as the conversations on whether or not they would go home. I think the lawyers were prevailing for him to stay in Hong Kong or in China, and the children prevailed on him to go home.
Ibig sabihin, yung mga lawyers po sinasabi kay dating Pangulong Duterte.
Parang gano'n ang lumalabas sa mga sources. Sources ni Secretary Anyo.
Opo. And he relayed that to the core team. So the core team is the president.
Ano na? Anong gagawin natin dyan? Ano na ang gagawin natin? Oo. Diba? Umamin na sila eh. Sorry ha. Alam na ng taong bayan yung mga gawain nyo. Nakakalungkot lang. Yung iba, sabi nga yung soberena ng Pilipinas, pero ang ginawa nyo, parang merong bagay-bagay. Anong tawag doon, mga kasama? Anong tawag doon? Eto, mas nakakatuwa pa itong panoorin. Bakit? Mga ibang lahi nagsasalita. Pabor kay Tatay Digong. Tapos kayo. Anong klase? Diba? Anong klase kayo? Pasok natin to.
Hindi na lamang mga Pilipino, kundi maging pati Banyaga, ipinagtanggol na rin ang dating Pangulo. Umabot na sa iba't ibang panig ng bansa, maging sa ilang mga Banyaga, ang mga balitang pinagkaisahan at iligal na inaresto ang dating Pangulong si Rodrigo Duterte. Ito'y matapos mangyari ang unang pagkakataong dumalo at umapir sa International Criminal Court ang former president. Hindi makapaniwala ang mga Banyaga na isinuko ng isang Pilipino ang kapwa niya Pinoy mula mismo sa International Court kahit walang malinaw na basihan ang pagkakaaresto nito. Dahil dito, galit maging ang mga ibang lahi kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos at tinawag pa itong basura dahil wala raw matinong tao ang ipagkakanulo ang kapwa nito Pilipino, lalo't ito ang nagdaang Pangulo. Kung ang inaakala raw ng pamahalaan ay bibilib sa kanila ang taong bayan, dito raw sila nagkakamali dahil sa kanilang ginawa kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. Mas lalong sisiklab ang damdamin ng mga Pilipinong naniniwalang wala ng pag-asa ang gobyernong ito magmula nang isuko nila ang kapwa nila Pilipino. Narito at panoorin ang reaksyon ng ilang mga foreigners kung saan maging sila tinutulan at tinawag namang mangsabatas si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos matapos hayaang magkaroon ng intervention ang International Criminal Court para husgahan at litisin ang former president na si Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Narito't panoorin ang full video.
One thing they must understand, that Marcos has literally shit on the law and the constitution of the Philippines. All right? There is no Interpol warrant of arrest. There is no ICC warrant of arrest. It supersedes in your constitution and by law any warrant from outside the Philippines. This kidnapping and deportation of Duterte is purely Marcos. He's behind it. Like I said, political and financial, because he is draining the Philippines dry. It's time to stand up. Marcos is a dictator like his dad. He has broken every rule in the book for what he did to Duterte. He was supposed to be trialed firstly in the Philippines if he did something wrong. Number two is they did not. Number three, no court of law, no outside court of law, no Interpol's warrant of arrest supersedes any law of the Philippines. And the Supreme Court will stand by that. Wake up. Marcos is rubbish.
Ito nyo? Ano yun? Oo, Marcos is, sa Tagalog nun, basura. Yan po. Kita nyo? Yung mga banyaga na yan, ha?
For asking me why I've decided to come out now and speak about all of this, and they've been sending me messages, and sadly I've got some hate messages as well. You know, it's very simple. I believe that the process with the ICC should be a fair process. You know, I'm remembering back to the COVID pandemic, and everything was conducted via Zoom. You know, even court proceedings were carried out via Zoom. We're in the 21st century now. You know, we have a process for ensuring that any court proceedings are carried out in a secure way. In fact, there is technology available that even courts in the UK, they have a process of carrying out trials via Zoom or via a secure connection. I can't understand for the life of me why former President Duterte had to be flown all the way to The Hague for a pre-trial. You know, this isn't the actual trial itself, this is the initial stages. And people have said to me that it wasn't a secret, it was open. Well, I disagree. If you look at the warrant from the ICC, because I've read that warrant, it clearly says on the front cover secret. Of course, eventually they had to release that secret or the warrant of arrest so that that arrest could be executed. But the point is this, when I saw what was happening, where the police approached President Duterte when he came back from Hong Kong, you know, his wife was there, his daughter Kitty was there. That was truly heart-wrenching. You know, they were begging them not to take the president away. You know, the fact is, it's because he's elderly. You know, he has medical conditions. You know, he's an old guy. He's in his late 70s or nearly 80 already. And, you know, he does have, I think, chronic pain. He's admitted that several times, that he has chronic back pain. So to make him fly on a small Learjet, considering he flew the previous, in the morning already from Hong Kong, to make him fly in a very small plane, you know, without even sufficient food. I understand that he didn't get a choice of food that he wanted or drink that he wanted. You know, I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that he's been treated fairly. Of course, people are going to bash me, and people were going to say to me, what about the victims of the EJKs? Were they treated fairly? I fully understand what you're saying. You know, I understand the other argument itself. President Duterte said very clearly that he is happy for an investigation to take place. He even invited the ICC during the recent hearing in the Philippines. Correct, he's 80, coming up to 80. He even invited the ICC to come to the Philippines to carry out an investigation. He even said, why did it take so long? Why did it take all these years? I want it now. You know, he's willing to put forward his case. He's willing to explain his side of the story. But he said previously, you know, what's wrong with Philippine courts, you know, for the Philippine judiciary, the Philippine legal system. You know, the Philippines is a sovereign nation with their own judiciary, you know, with their own courts. And that means that, you know, the process should have been followed. You know, when somebody leaves the country, you know, if somebody's accused of a crime, they go through an extradition process, meaning to say it should have come through the courts. Why did this process not go through the courts? So that meant that his legal team didn't have the opportunity to put forward a case of defense. You know, the fact is that he's already said that he accepts the fact that he needs to be tried. He's already said he accepts the legal process. You know, President Duterte is a lawyer. You know, he has a legal background. He understands that there is a legal process, and he wants to put forward his point of view, but it should have been done correctly. You know, I don't blame this on the administration. I don't blame this on President Bongbong Marcos. You know, there is a process in place with Interpol, but the way it was carried out, I don't believe was fair. You know, I met the president back in 2018, I believe, at the palace. And during that evening, he came up to me several times. You know, he shook my hand. He asked how my family was. He wished me a Merry Christmas. And I really felt an affinity with him. You know, I need to say this. You know, I was bullied at school, and I have, I guess, many personal issues. You know, I'm suffering from depression right now, and life is pretty tough for me. But I always saw President Duterte as some kind of, you know, like father figure, you know, like a dear friend. So during the Duterte administration, you know, I was one of the unofficial bloggers, if you like. So I used to get sent photos, you know, government statistics, which I used to share on social media. And if you think about it, this was for 6 years of my life. So for me to keep quiet is really hard. You know, I tried not to get involved. I tried to remain silent. In fact, I was advised by several people not to get involved in politics. But I don't see this as me getting involved in politics. You know, this isn't a political statement that I'm making. I'm not complaining about the administration. I'm not saying bad things about the Philippine government. All I'm merely saying is when the ICC executed this warrant of arrest, they should have done it in a fair way. They should have allowed President Duterte's legal team an opportunity to contest the extradition. It should have been a properly arranged process. You know, they should have allowed the president time so that he could obviously see his children, his grandchildren, you know, discuss it with them, and maybe fly to The Hague in his own time when he'd gone through that process. You know, as I've said, a thief in the night. You know, I'm not saying there wasn't a process, because of course there was a process. The ICC contacted Interpol, and it was in cooperation with the Philippine police. But what I'm saying, what I've always said is, you know, the Philippines is a sovereign country. You know, I have a great deal of respect for the Philippines, for the country, for the leaders of the country, you know, for the court system in the country. And I believe that there was no extradition process. You know, there was no process in place.
Kanyo na, naniniwala siya na walang extradition. Bakit kasi pinagpipilitan itong mga magagaling at nagmamagaling kuno na mayroong ganyang bagay? Wala hong nangyaring ganyan. Isa-isahin nyo tanungin ng Pilipino. Kayong mga akala nyo kayo na lahat ang alam, may alam. Diba? Ang katunayan nito, politika. Lahat ng mga yan, politika talaga. Politika, politika, politika. Ganun lang kasimple.
To do this properly. And that's why I've said what I've said. You know, I'm not posting for the content. I'm not posting for popularity. You know, I'm going to get bashed over this. You know, if anything, it probably was best for me to keep quiet. But I simply can't keep quiet when somebody who I had an affinity with was really forced away from his family, you know, from his wife, Honeylet, you know, his daughter, Kitty. You know, they even ripped Kitty's jumper, apparently, at the time. You know, she showed a photo where her jumper had been ripped trying to defend her dad. You know, that's the sad part of all of this. I accept the fact that questions need to be answered. I accept the fact that there has to be a proper investigation. I also accept the fact that many people died during the war on drugs, the so-called EJKs. And you know, I understand that, you know, but there is a process. President Duterte should be allowed in the Philippines to explain his side. As I said, why didn't they have a Zoom call, or why didn't they have a secure legal process? Why didn't they perhaps arrest President Duterte and place him under house arrest so he could still be with his family, to be near his doctors? You know, you have to understand that President Duterte clearly has doctors in the Philippines. He has doctors who he's been seeing a long time. They are responsible for his care. So to fly him 10,000 miles away or 8,000 miles away from his medical team, from his nurses, from his doctors, from those who are caring for him, that's the issue that I have. You know, again, I don't blame the government for this. I blame the process. I blame the ICC. You know, I'm a concerned netizen. I'm a British citizen. I have every right to challenge the ICC and to ask why this process was the way that it was. You know, in fact, I even want to personally hand deliver my letter to the Hague and to the ICC, but I'm not sure if I'm able to do this because I'm kind of between jobs at the moment, so things are really difficult. But I would like nothing more than to be able to physically hand over my letter to the ICC, because I believe I have just as much right to be heard as any other person. You know, I'm coming out here, I'm standing out here on a limb, you know, despite all of the bashing, despite all of the rude comments, you know, the nasty comments. You know, I'm doing this because, as I said to you, I met the president, I shook his hand, I spoke to him, he approached me at least 5 times that occasion, and I believe that I have a connection with him. You know, when the plane that he was on, this little Learjet, was taking off from the Philippines, you know, I was watching it on flight radar, and I think they were originally 30. Hi Mo, how are you? I believe that, thank you for your support as always, and I'll just summarize this before I end this live. You know, as I said, when I was watching President Duterte on this little plane, it's a small plane. I've been on many Learjets, you know, they're very small planes. They don't have fully flat beds or anything like that. So the president wouldn't have been able to rest properly. Now, bear in mind, early that morning, he already flew from Hong Kong. You know, when you look at it, you can see that he was really tired. And when he was eating the food on board the Learjet, you know, he looked really weak. He looked really exhausted. You know, at least break up the journey. At least if there has to be that journey, maybe the president should have been given sufficient notice so he could consult with his legal team. You know, he could prepare his doctors, you know, his carers. As I said, I can't understand why he was almost snatched away from his carers. You know, if you have medical conditions, who better than the doctors looking after you, you know, the nurses, the carers looking after you? So wouldn't it have been better if this process could have taken place inside his house? You know, they could have placed him under house arrest and they could have used a secure connection to the court in order for that process to take place. Now, I know that he's currently in The Hague, but, you know, from my understanding of these cases, they could take months, if not years. So what I believe would be the right thing to do is, yes, if he initially has to appear in The Hague to basically formally be charged or whatever, then that's fine. But then at least fly him back to the Philippines and allow him to be placed under house arrest, you know, or allow him to maybe only travel within Davao. And I'm not asking the Philippine government for this. It's got nothing to do with the Philippine government. I'm saying to the ICC, there should be a safe and proper process. You know, he's an elderly man, and this has to be done properly. Anyway, thank you.
Hey, everyone. I haven't had a video posted in a very long time. I'm going to go ahead and make this video. I was thinking about it. I didn't really want to do it, but I'm going to do it. It might get a little backlash. I'm okay with that. It's fine. Back in 2016 in the Philippines, a certain man named Mr. Duterte made a promise to the Filipino people. He told them, I'm going to clean up these streets of drugs. And what did he do? He did just that. He stood on business. Unfortunately, he had to fight fire with fire. And that does mean that you have to fight violent people with violence. There was no other way that he could have done it. And he did it. He did it. the Philippines is a safer country because of this man.
Tama.
You know, sometimes moral people have to do immoral things in order to make sure that order is sustained. That's just part of life. And the fact that that man, he went by his promise. He stood on business. I got nothing but respect for him. I got nothing but respect for him. I love the Philippines. I love Filipino people, you know? Okay, so, okay, he might have been part of the whole master plan when it comes to the unaliving of 30,000+ people. Those people were drug lords, were crime syndicates, were bad people, right? How many people did they murder? I'll let you think about it. How many people did they murder? Selling drugs to underage children, selling drugs to anybody who'd buy.
Oh, yan narinig nyo. Kahit ibang lahi ho, talaga namang naniniwala kay Tatay Digong. Kung ano yung ginawa ni Tatay Digong, talagang ibang klase para lang maging maayos ang ating bansa. Ibang lahi na ho yan, O, di ba? Sila ho ang patunay, talagang magaling ang Tatay Digong. Lahat ito, lahat ng bagay na nakikita natin at nararamdaman natin ay isang pangharas at isang politika. Oo, sangkot ang politika dito dahil kagustuhan nila na manatili, gagawa sila ng paraan talaga. O, ito yan yung kababayan natin sa Europe, ha? Ang dami, no, mga kasama. Talagang hindi lang sa Pilipinas, hindi lang sa buong Pilipinas, sa Europe, Canada, Amerika, Qatar, Middle East, halos lahat na po nagagawa ng mga ganitong bagay. Kaya, tutok lang po kayo. Sorry na late tayo ng upload. Mabayang hapon po, abang-abang kayo. Maraming salamat. Bye-bye.